said that reading makes you more empathetic. It's a way to escape your life. It can take you to faraway lands and it can put you in other people's shoes. It also keeps your brain healthy and reduces stress. It helps you sleep better and it can inspire you. So today we're going to find out how Christina's book, Jefferson's Chance, can inspire you. Don't go away. We will be right back. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Writer's Corner live show. I'm your host, Brigitte Limbanda from Cape Town in South Africa, and our stream today is made possible by Creative Edge, StreamYard, and Be Live Media, helping you make meaningful connections with our authors. We are live on Amazon Live. We're live on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, and also over on LinkedIn. And a shout out to Tish, who's watching us on Amazon Live already. Welcome to the show. It is an audience-centric show, so if you say hello to us, if it's the first time you're watching, the Writer's Corner live show has been going for over 3 years. I cannot believe it's been that long. And I've actually got the most amazing collection of books that you will see on in the carousel if you are watching on Amazon Live. The very first book is our interview for today, Jefferson's Chance by Christina. But 3 years, you rack up so many interviews with authors. And so if you just scroll through the carousel, if you are watching us on Amazon Live, you will see a great selection of books. And many of these authors have been on the show before. A lot of these books are currently offered at a discount on Amazon Live. So definitely go and have a look at the books there. And we obviously do want to encourage you to have a look at our featured authors book today, Christina and Jefferson's Chance. And yes, Tish, where has the time gone? I can't believe it's already 3.5 years. But before we invite Jim onto the show, I do want to first say hello to my friend and co-host, Mary Elizabeth Jackson. She's a special needs and disabilities advocate and also an award-winning author herself. Her latest release, which you'll also find in the carousel, is called Cheers from Heaven, which is co-written with Thornton Klein. And it helps families deal with bullying and it educates young people about the effects that this may have. So please go and check out that book as well. Mary's in Nashville in the USA, and so it'd be great to know. I'm Cape Town in South Africa. Hey, we're global. So let us know where you are joining us from. And with that, Mary, welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here, and we are global. And our author is from west of me. He is out west, literally from where I live, which is kind of cool because his book is out west too, right? But we're so excited to have him because it's a real honor. All these interviews that we've had over the years and all the authors we've met, it's just been absolutely an amazing journey. I'm so glad we decided to take this chance together and do this. And we've got a lot of really cool things to look forward to coming up. And but it's fun when we get to interview people that have multiple roles that they play. And I always find that really fascinating. And, what made them want to do what they're doing and what drives them to do what they're doing. And, did they just fall into it? Because we've met authors who just kind of fell into what they're doing. It wasn't even intention. And then we've met authors who this is their life and their complete intention. And this is what they do. That's what they do in their life. So it's really, it's really amazing to share these authors and publishers and illustrators with our audience.
Absolutely. And Christina is no exception. He sure is a man with many hats. He's an author, a publisher, a musician, a playwright, poet, and a generally all-round nice guy. So, shall we invite him onto the show?
Absolutely.
Jim,
Hi.
welcome. So
Hi,
please
Jim.
join us.
Hello, ladies. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. How are you? I'm so excited because everyone, this is my publisher. I'm so
I am
excited.
good. I am good. I'm alive and kicking. And as I told Brigetti before the show started, this is very early for me, but well, not real early, but it's the earliest interview I think I've ever had.
Well, and let's blame that on the time change because
Well,
if it had
I
been
don't do that.
2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, it would be an hour later. So we'll just blame
Well,
it on
that's
the time
true.
change. Yes.
That's true. And I suppose it probably could have been 7:30 or 6:30, but it's not. So I'm
Right,
happy with that.
right. Yeah, and this is totally different for you because your show is radio. And
It is radio.
so,
It is live
yeah,
radio. Yes,
yeah,
yes,
so
yes.
it's totally
7
different
years
situation.
almost.
Oh,
Wow.
congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
we've been on the air
awesome.
7 years. We've got right now we're over 600,000 listeners.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Oh
exciting.
my goodness.
So
That
we'll
is
talk
So
about that.
it's like we tell everybody it's not a schlock radio show.
wow, that is amazing. And I want to just also give a huge big shout out to Hamid who's watching us. He has been an amazing supporter of the show. So Hamid, a big welcome and a shout out to you. He's a young YouTuber doing amazing things.
Yes.
Um, so a warm welcome to you to the show, and a welcome to Tish again over on Amazon Live. Jim, how did you? I'm always curious to know how people got started as an author. I mean, you're doing so many things. You're a publisher, you're a poet. Where did your love for words come from? What was your inspiration? Was this something your parents inculcated in you, or was it something that you just loved from a young age?
I've always been a reader, a big reader, and my mother pushed reading when I was a kid. And we decided that early age, in probably seventh grade, I believe it was, we started a short story club. And we had like 4 or 5 guys, and we all wrote short stories, and then the mothers would rotate and read them and grade them. And so I
Mm.
started learning how to write about 12 or 13 years old. And then it kind of dropped out, and I picked up the guitar and I started playing the guitar. And then I started writing my own music when I was 17, 18. And I became a full time, not a full time, you never give up your day job, much like a writer. But we were professional full time musicians. If you say that with a grain of salt and a smirk on my face. But we played all over the Northwest, and we had a great band. And then it's just for other reasons, bands break up and they go on their own way. But all of the poetry and all of the lyrics that I wrote came from experience, came from the heart, came from whatever. And they're now in a standalone book called "That's All You Get." It's published on Tuscany Bay Books, and it's doing very well actually for a poetry book. I was very surprised that people really like it, but I think they can relate to a lot of the stuff in it. But then when I was like, golly, 2008 maybe 2009, this character had been rolling around in my head for a long time, and I decided to sit one day down and write a book and write his story, which I did, and it's called The Hunter. And from there, it branched out to 13 books with this character in it. And along the way, I added characters. We killed off characters. We did, how series go. Um, so now we're 2 characters left: Jeff Stryker and Taggart Richmond, who is the hunter. And I'm writing now the 14th book in the series. It's called the long. It's a long time to midnight, and it's. I'm not going to tell anything about the story because last time I did that, it got all over the place. So I'm just going to be very quiet about it now. But it's a really good story so far. Um, but then I decided that we could, getting a publisher, traditional publisher, is really tough. So I started Black Dog Books, Black Dog Publishing, and then Richard was on our show. Richard Polinelli, my business partner and co-owner of Tuscany Bay, I had put together his own publishing company, Tuscany Bay Books. So at lunch one day, over margaritas and chips and salsa and fajitas, we merged the two companies, and that was 7 years ago. And since then, we've become a pretty good. I think a fairly good publisher as far as books go, and we definitely have a really good imprint in Tuscany Bay Books. It is becoming very well known. So that's a long story short, I suppose.
Just listening to you, how Tuscany Bay Books came about, I was thinking of a post that I saw on LinkedIn just a couple of days ago, and somebody was saying, everybody talks about B2B business, B2C business, and I said, well, how about human to human? Because that's what it's all about. That's how things happen.
Right. Yeah.
When you
Yeah. I mean, it was a chance meeting where Richard was booked on our show. And he came in, and then he was booked again, and he became a co-host on our show. And it was just it was just a really natural thing to combine the two companies.
It's good when you can find somebody that you work really well with. Like
Right.
Brigetti and I work really well together.
Right.
And like Thornton and Klein and I as writers, we work really well together creatively. And, that's important. Obviously, it either makes or breaks what you're doing.
It is.
Yeah. But
Richard designs the covers. He does a lot of the covers and the initial read, and then I go through a format and I'll read through again. Normally, I don't read through for editing the first time, only because, especially when somebody said, "Well, the book's been edited." Okay, but that's not always the case, and so we catch a lot of stuff, and the authors go back and they catch a lot of stuff, and that's why it's not a 2-week process. And getting a book out is months long, and a lot of writers don't get that. They think they're going to cha-ching in their pocket, within 2 weeks of writing the book, and if they give up their day job and expect they're going to make money writing, good luck with that.
Right.
Unless you're John Sanford.
Right. You can't go into it for that reason. You have to go into it for the love of it.
Right.
And, and I will say my experience and Thornton's experience with you and Richard has been just top. We have a great relationship.
We do.
We have a relationship with you. And this is, Brigetti, this is something really important for people out there searching for a publisher. If you want to go traditional or you want to find a boutique publisher, things like that. You need to find somebody you have a good relationship with, that you're not going to be a number in a queue, that you can have one-on-one conversations and really feel like what you're doing is they care about and is more than a dollar sign. Because when it comes down to it, and Jim will probably agree with me, this is a whole transaction between an author and a publisher looks at an author just like a music producer does and says, how much money are you going to make me? Or are you going to be more than a one-hit wonder? Or do you have a series in you or more than one book? And that's the reality harshness of the business, but it's also something you need to be aware of, and don't go in like what Jim's talking about with, I'm going to write a book and 2 weeks later, I'm going to have some royalty check and can sit around and eat bonbons or travel or do whatever I want. It doesn't work like that. It's a totally different thing. And it is a super long process. So you do want to have a good working relationship with your publisher. It really helps because there is a lot of creative banter that goes back and forth and suggestions and things that maybe somebody doesn't really like, and then you got to learn how to compromise. And it's a good lesson to teach you how to work with other people and be able to, make that work. But I want you to touch on, the radio show that you do, because, Brigetti introduced you and we know you have all these hats, but the next hat that you wear is, you have a radio show that you
talk show host
for 7 years.
Right. It's a show we do on LA Talk Radio Live every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific. We talk to authors of all kinds. We have had musicians, we have had playwrights, we have had um, biographers, we have had picture book writers, we have had novelists, we have had just about everyone who writes poets. We've had them on the show. And, we learn as much as they do. And our show is geared towards new writers. So we try to get as much information out of these writers as we can during the course of 50 minutes. And our show is 50 minutes long. And of course, we take up about 4 or 5 minutes with banal banner at the beginning and the top. Usually run 2 or 3 commercials, and the rest of the time is the writers. We'll talk about anything they want to talk about.
Awesome.
Sometimes it's like pulling teeth to get information out of some of these
Yeah,
guys. But
I know.
I don't want to give up my secrets. What secret is that? You're a writer. Everybody does the same thing. You know.
Oh my goodness me. So
Right.
talk about a little bit about Jefferson's chance. What was the
Oh,
inspiration behind Jefferson's um chance?
Jefferson's Chance. I wrote a book right before Jefferson's Chance called Jonah Blue. Jonah Blue was an entire dream that I had one night. I woke up and I remembered the entire story. So I wrote the book in record time. It just was there. But it's a standalone, and then I wanted to write another standalone. I wanted to get away from the hunter for a while and write another Western book that had some meaning to it, and I wanted to follow a profession of a young man that was handicapped that wanted to be a Texas Ranger. And so that idea came, and by talking it over with my wife, who actually is the producer of my show as well. She's the one that came up with the title, Jefferson's Chance, because it was his chance to be a Ranger after he had a leg designed by a guy who designed a drawbridge or a suspension bridge. So it acted just like a real leg, and it was the only way he was going to get in the Rangers if he could grow a new leg. Well, he can't obviously grow a new leg, but this guy Thomas Griffith, who is a real guy, designed this leg for him that worked just like a real leg. And by the time he got back to the town to show the captain of the Texas Rangers how well it worked, you couldn't even tell he had a fake leg. So they gave him a chance, and so it was Jefferson's Chance. And
Wow.
he's a brand new ranger, and he believes in the credo of the Rangers. He believes in their moral turpitude, and he believes in how they do their business. And so he sets off in search of these two guys, and in the interim meets up with an old retired not retired, but somebody who had been a Texas Ranger that is now a city marshal. And they're looking for the same two people, so they hook up and they go, and their adventures really start on horseback between Austin, Texas, and San Antonio, and that's where the story really, really, really starts. Caleb Stringfeld is the guy's name, and he and Jefferson. Um, Caleb is reluctant to go. Caleb's had his time in the Rangers. He just doesn't really want to do it anymore. But Jefferson is 23 years old, and you know, I suppose full of piss and vinegar. Wants to do a good job. His father was a ranger. He's a ranger, and the story just goes from there. And they follow adventure to adventure to adventure. Um, and once they find the two guys, unfortunately, that one of the guys is still alive, and they've been attacked by Comanches, and they've taken his hair. They shot him full of arrows, but he's still around. And he says they're just going to let him die. And he says what they have children. They took children. Okay, well now the Ranger Credo says nope, got to go after him. We have to get the children back. That's part of the Ranger's creed. So Caleb says, well, I'm not going. I mean, I've done that. That's so Jefferson says, okay, have a nice day. And finally Caleb catches up to him and says, you're going to get me killed, right? It's that kind of a conversation. But they follow these Comanches until the final showdown in about 3/4 of the way through the book. But and the rest of the book is taken up with Caleb taking Jefferson back to his mother's ranch because he
Mm.
has been killed in the fight.
I love this story. I love it. I've read it, and Jim and I laugh because my mother read it, and
Yeah.
she is um, how do I put it politely? She's just a real critic of books. She's read so many books in her life. She has done some editing work. She's doing some editing work now. And she found one typo in all of Jim's book. She was just so excited about that. And his book is absolutely one of her favorites. And she has read I can't even tell you how many books my mother has read. She is a very avid reader and a snob about books and the correct English pronunciation and edits and where things should be, punctuations and everything. So yeah, she's a big fan of Jim's. So I think we'd love for you to read for us, wouldn't we, Brigetti?
There's a couple of spots in here that I think would be appropriate. There is, of course, the opening page, but there's also the completion of the fight with the Comanches, and that is that's pretty tough. That's a hard thing to do. So I think I'll go back to the first part of the page. But
That'll
this
be
is
great.
the prologue. I'm sorry.
That'll be great.
Yeah, this is the prologue. It's only going to be I'll just do like a page and a half, and then we're done. This is the prologue to Jefferson's Chance. The boy lay perfectly still as the doctor fidgeted with his right leg. The rattlesnake bite had ravaged his lower leg and become septic with the poison. As the doctor felt around the ruined flesh, he stole looks at the boy's mother, standing somewhat behind and wringing a piece of towel torn from his visit. The medical certainties of a snake bite were extremely limited in 1863, even after his mother sucking out a good deal of the poison. The doctor at this juncture had not many options but to allow the bite to become gangrenous, quickly affecting the other leg, promoting certain death, or to remove the leg about 4 inches down from the knee. It was a terrible decision for any family to make, especially this one, having lost his father lost the father and husband only 3 months before. Standing back from the boy, knowing the laudanum was going to wear off very soon, the doctor presented the mother with the option. He saw right then, I ain't saying it's a cure-all, but I'm telling you, I don't take that leg and soon that boy's going to suffer something terrible before he dies from the poison in his system. Sobbing softly, the mother sat heavily in a chair pulled from the heavy oaken table at the far end of the room. He got a chance to take the leg, she asked quietly. Better than if he don't, replied the doctor. I do this, I'm going to need your help with the boy. Meaning? You're going to have to hold him. Oh, I'm going to give him something, but it ain't going to be enough so's he don't feel, said the doctor. It's purely simple to you, doctor. Simple enough to take my boy's leg, but it ain't that purely simple to me, said the mother, rising from her chair and walking to the pallet in the middle of the room. Taking a deep breath, she looked at the doctor. Well, if we're to get this done, I expect we best get into it. And that's the first page and a half of the book. And I when I was writing that, I couldn't imagine being 10 years old and losing half a leg to a snake bite.
No,
So
not at all. I mean, at that age, you want to be running around, skipping and jumping and doing stuff and playing
absolutely.
sports, friends, and just the whole prospect of losing all of that, and then there's the huge recovery process after. It's a big deal, it's a big deal
It
to
is a
lose
big deal.
at any age, but for
Well,
a boy,
I
wow.
wanted to show the opening of the angst of his mother, having just lost her husband. Now if she doesn't do anything, if she doesn't take this leg, her boy is going to die. And that's just the bottom line of it. So that's a decision that she has to make. And like the doctor says, if you don't, he's going to suffer something terrible before he dies of the poison.
Yeah, it's really sad.
An awful decision for a mother, to have to make such a life-altering decision.
Right.
For
well, I know in South Africa, you guys have some pretty nasty snakes too.
We do. Yes, we do. And not my favorite thing. I must be brutally honest. I'm scared of snakes. Snakes and rats and mice are not my favorite things in life.
Oh,
not my favorite animals.
I hate snakes. When a real quick story. When I was in Vietnam, I was the 1st Tonight's Cavalry. I was what they call the cavalry of blues. We were the combat squadron out of a helicopter company. And we were pulling in over some elephant grass one day to jump out of the bird. And I looked down, and there was this king cobra sticking up over the top of the grass looking around. Now, this grass was 8 feet tall. So how big do you figure that snake was? Big. I wouldn't get out of the helicopter. I said, no, I'm not getting out.
Could you just shoot it? I mean, was there?
Well, somebody did finally.
Oh,
but,
okay.
They travel in pairs. They have, they mate, and they mate for life.
Yeah.
And so where he was or she was, the mate wasn't far behind. Well, somebody else found that too. But the thing is, a snake that big, holy crap,
Yeah, I'd be eating you for lunch
I
and
mean,
dinner
bigger
and
than me,
whatever. Yeah.
you
Oh
know.
my gosh.
So it was a good sized snake. But at any rate, I don't like snakes either, Brigetti.
Oh no.
That's not my favorite thing.
Yeah,
No,
it's
I
a
know.
pretty scary experience, and not one
Yeah.
that one would want to invite into your life, unwanted. Tell us a little bit. We were talking about
So
where music
Jim,
comes from, because you're also a musician.
Yes. I wrote music. Well, I started out, of course, surf music. That was in like the early '60s. Electric guitar and wailing and reverbs and echoes and the whole 9 yards. Had a 3 band combo called the Cavaliers, and then when I got into high school, I ran into a friend of mine who he liked the acoustic vocal music, and so I thought, wow, that's really cool. And then, of course, Paul Simon came out in 1965, and I switched real fast. I got myself an acoustic, got rid of the electric, and started writing music. And the more you write, the better you get. It's just like a writer. The more you write, the better you get. Well, the more music you write, the better you get at it. And you follow other figures. You look at chord patterns, and before you're done, I wrote some music, and then I didn't for a long time, and then probably in 1980, 79, I want to say, I really got back into it again and started up another group called Sundown, and we traveled all over the Northwest. We were a 3 piece, sometimes four, sometimes five, just depending who was available. Core group was 3 pieces, 2 guitars, well, 3 guitars, and sometimes a bass player. And we did harmonic guitar, which is you play um, guitars in harmony, much like your voices. So it comes out. You're never muddled. Everything has got a place, and everything is in that place. And I wrote most of the music for the group, and we just were really popular at the time. Of course, then everything goes away. The vocal acoustic music goes away, and now it's rap or hip hop or whatever they're calling it. But
Yeah.
I did that for a number of years, and then I did a solo for a number of years, and a friend of mine, he and I played together for a long time. He's now a musician in Wisconsin. He's got several albums out. He's the guy is phenomenal. His name is Rick Gilman. In fact, he wrote the opening music to our show.
Hmm.
Um, and
Wonderful.
yeah, yeah, and he was kind enough to give us the copyright. He gave us the piece of music. He gave us everything. And the music is called Buffalo Grass. You can actually still find it on Amazon if you want to go search for it. It's Rick Gilman, RIC.
I'll definitely go have a look.
And
Yeah.
Buffalo Grass is the name of the music, and that now belongs to the Writer's Block. So,
Not
Hey,
wonderful. Jim, we've got to
Jim,
wrap up, but
yeah.
I just want
okay.
to ask, the cover of your book, if you can maybe hold up the book, the cover is stunning.
Yes,
Who
beautiful.
designed? I want to just put you on full screen there. Who designed that cover? Because
My
it's
wife did.
a stunning cover.
Mhm.
My wife designed this
Beautiful.
cover, and it kind of tells the whole story of the book.
Right, it does. She did a good job. I love it.
And she does. I mean, she's a phenomenal artist, and she's got a great eye for stuff. And she's a hell of an editor, I might add. Your mother will attest.
Well, maybe we can put them together, right? They could be a
Yeah,
duo team.
I tell you, my wife Jerry, she's the comma queen. If I miss a comma, she's sure to put it in there, and it's always in very dark red. So,
Hey, Jim, can you do us a favor real quick? I know we have to wrap up, but as a
sure.
publisher, can
Uh
you give
huh.
one tip to folks who want to find a publisher, who are searching, how to write a really great book and submit it? I know that's a whole show right there, but
Right.
if you could give like one tip.
If you want to submit a story for publishing, you have to go through the same thing as you'd have to do with the big publisher with Tuscany Bay. You have to submit a manuscript. There's a submission page on our website, TuscanyBayBooks.com. You can go in there and you can fill that out, and we tell you what to send us. I mean, don't send us the entire book. I don't want the entire book. I want to read the first 2 or 3 chapters, and we'll see if it's going to be something we're going to be interested in. And we're not interested in everything, so
Right.
it's going to depend. But if you're looking for a boutique, I think we're your publisher. I think, honestly, I think that we're your people.
Right. Yep.
I mean, I'll be pat myself in the back.
Yeah, pat yourself in the back. I'll
I
join
did.
you and make sure, when you're turning something in to submit it, that you've really had some good editing done on it, because that'll really get it thrown out the door, won't it?
Yep. Well, thrown out the door or thrown back to the author.
Yeah.
I've done. We're working on 3, 4, 5 books right now. Only one have I sent back to the author for corrections. But he's a brand new writer, so he needs to learn. And I gave him hints in his emails and stuff, so he's picking it up. But he's he's good. He's good. He's an ex-soldier, and he's disabled, so he's trying writing. So I figured, what the hell? Why not help him out?
Right. And thank you for your service. I meant to tell you that. We just got done with Veterans Day this last week, so thank you very much for your service.
You're welcome.
Well, it's just amazing to have spoken to you, and congratulations on this book. It's a beautiful book. It's a beautiful story.
It is a good story.
It is a good story, and your kudos to your wife for having done a great job on the editing there.
Oh, thank you. I'll let her know. And real quick, I don't want to take up any more of your time.
So, Jim, thank you so much.
Oh, wait.
Jonah Blue is available. Is being used in colleges right now in their history courses. It's about mountain men. So if you're interested in reading Jonah Blue, it's about mountain men, and it takes a young boy and takes him from mountain man to a guide of discovery, and then into a rancher in Montana. So it covers 30 years of his life.
Well, what I've done is, Tish wants to know if Tish is watching us over on Amazon Live, and she wants to know if Jefferson's Chance is available on audio yet, Jim?
No, Jefferson's Chance is being worked on for audio by Henry Park. It is not done as of yet. It's a tough book to do, so Henry's having a little bit of problems with it, but he'll finish it. Other than that, no.
Okay, 100%. So what I've done is I've actually put both books in the description for the show with their links to Amazon. So if you're watching the show on the replay, the links to both books are in the description for the broadcast. So go and grab a copy on Amazon. And as Jim just said, the audiobook is being worked on. It'll be released at some point in the future.
Yep.
But thank you very much. Again,
my pleasure.
Jim.
Thank you for inviting me. It was fun. It was fun.
Good.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank
you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You ladies have a great day.
Thanks very much. And thank you to our audience, whether you've caught the show live now or going to be watching on the replay. Thanks for watching. And until next week, we'll see you back on another episode of the Writer's Corner live show. Take care and stay safe, everyone.